You are a unique guest for us because most of the founders I speak to, they represent, one brand, and or I'll speak to somebody maybe who is a president of just a platform, but not somebody who's been involved in multiple brands all under their own umbrella. So let's talk about ThriveMore and what are the brands that are underneath your company?
Sure. So just to give a little bit of the history, the genesis of this, in 2017, I left a 25-year career from the pharmaceutical industry. Built that career, ended up being in a chief operating officer position, and just decided I no longer wanted to be the guy that was in charge of, armies of reps selling pills that treated people but never cured them, right? It treated them but never cured them. That's the best medicine when you're selling it. And I really wanted to get behind something that was the cure. Like my legacy, I wanted to be, that I'm doing something great for people. And I'm a huge proponent of fitness, balanced nutrition, just living a healthful life. And I think, obviously so many Americans could benefit from that message. So ended up meeting a guy coincidentally. I was hiring a boxing coach for my son who was like 12 at the time. Ended up meeting a gentleman who had a couple boxing for fitness studios. And I was about ready to leave corporate America and ended up talking to him on the kind of the side of the studio while my son was training. And he wanted to franchise and expand his business. Didn't really have the capital or the know-how from the marketing side of it. Certainly had a great product. The product hasn't changed a lot. He built an amazing workout and structure and member experience. So 2017, I think I knew the guy for about, name's Steve, knew him for about 3 months, and we decided to go 50-50 on this thing. And I put up all the money, he put up all his expertise, and RockBox Fitness was born. His gym they were called something different, but we rebranded. My first hire were a couple marketing consultants that I had worked with. So started RockBox Fitness. 2018, we started franchising. Fast forward to 2021, we brought on a second brand called Beam Light Sauna. And Beam Light Sauna is infrared, red light therapy, light modality, non-medical treatments for consumers. So infrared saunas is the core product, and those are private suites, each with its own infrared sauna that people buy membership to and come and they do red light therapy and other therapies that are all light based. And then we have a nutritional brand as well underneath that same umbrella that is proprietary and mainly sold through RockBox Fitness locations to the members that are looking to augment their nutrition. And we've been to the altar with a couple other brands and just decided it wasn't the best fit, but are looking at a fourth brand right now that looks like it's going to be potentially a really great fit. So ThriveMore Brands was created to really house these, RockBox Fitness, Beam Light Sauna, our nutritional brand, and then, a fourth brand, a fifth brand, a sixth brand. As you mentioned, you've interviewed a lot of maybe presidents and heads of a company under a platform. Mm-hmm. And the reason why platforms are growing so much is because you get the economies of scale. You need one marketing team, one financial team, different operations teams, of course, but a lot of the core functions, one CEO, one COO. So you have a lot of cost synergies, but you also have, it's not just savings. There's a bump you get from the expertise because you get really, really good at digital advertising, at member acquisition, improving customer experience. So we created this platform, and it's health and wellness. So it doesn't have to be, we're not going to stray and do you're not going to see us in an oil change, franchise or something like that. And nothing those are profitable, but it just doesn't fit our mold. Sure. So all health and wellness, but we'll get creative on how that looks, but we will not have, I guess never say never, but the plan is to never have any brands that would compete. So obviously there's a very large fitness platform, it's publicly traded, and they have many, many brands, but those brands can compete with each other. So you really have franchisees that can compete with each other. And I know that's not the talk track in that platform, but I see competition between, brand franchisees of different brands in that platform. So our brands, our concepts will always be complementary, mm-hmm. but never competitive, but they will go after the same target consumer. But what we found is that target consumer that pays $200 for their boutique fitness membership will pay $200 for an infrared sauna membership. We'll pay $200 for this. We'll pay $200 for that, because they invest in their health. They believe in their health. They value their health. Where, if we bought like a discounted brand, I'm just going to say Planet Fitness, and we're not going to buy Planet Fitness, but let's say we bought Planet Fitness, $10 a month, that doesn't really fit our marketing model, our customer acquisition model. So we'll always be in that premium segment, that goes after the same avatar that believes and invests in their health and wellness.
That's
It was
fantastic.
a long answer to a very simple question, but there you go. Yeah.
No, again, you are a very unique guest among the people who I've interviewed. So I want to go back to RockBox Fitness
Sure. Yeah.
and get your take on, look, you met Steve, you only knew him for like 3 months. What was some of the criteria that you heard or that you needed in order to say, I want to go in business with this guy and I think it's franchisable?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And I hope the listeners, if they listen to anything in this podcast, it's about what I'm about to say. I don't care how great the idea is, how unique it sounds or feels. And if it's unique, by the way, you're going to be copied within 6 months. So unique doesn't really count in this business. You have to look for somebody that does two things. One, they roll up their sleeves and work. I mean, and I have stories of like lifting steel beams into the ceiling, to hang bags from when we had our initial flagship store. We're much more sophisticated now, but I mean, just whatever it took, scaffolding and hanging from the ceilings and just dumb stuff that I was doing in my late 40s, because that's what it took. I saw that in Steve. I saw that work ethic, that just immediate bias for action. And number two, he would jump. And what do I mean by jump? And I talk about this a lot. People decide they're going to, I've decided I'm going to start a business. I've decided I'm going to do this. I've decided I'm going to lose weight. I'm decided I'm going to get in shape. Well, newsflash, you haven't done a damn thing yet. You haven't done anything. You've had a mental exercise, but you haven't done anything. And what I saw in Steve was and I still see it, is a guy that has an extreme bias for action and would jump. Like, okay, let's decide to do this, and now let's go do it. And I kind of watched, over these 3 months as he talked about his business. And, we had lunches and a couple dinners to really get to know each other and kind of understand what he was doing and stuff. And I took classes and then I interviewed his members. So I didn't go into it like blindly and, without any due diligence. But I moved really quickly because I jumped. I decided like, I'm going to go into business for myself. I love the fitness space. Wow, this guy can get me there a lot quicker because he has the expertise. He'd already had 5 years of experience at that time from owning 2 studios. He was a serial entrepreneur. So I knew he knew how to stand up things. And he had a vision for it that was similar to my vision, kind of a rock and roll show meets a boxing class. And after you do your due diligence, when if you're going to pick a partner, there's always risk. And Steve and I get along great now, but that hasn't always been the case, because business partners is like marriage, there's ups and downs. But I'm telling you, if you're looking for something in a partner, look for bias for action, and then look for evidence that they've actually jumped before. Doesn't have to mean they've started their own business in the past, but that they've made a move to take a promotion with another company. They've left their comfort zone. They've shown discipline in other areas of their life. To me, past behavior is the greatest predictor of future results. And so I always am very careful when I'm doing business with somebody that I'm looking at their past performance, their past achievements. And again, they don't have to have built $100 million company and sold it, but they had to have excelled at whatever they were doing in previous corporate positions, previous business ventures, personal things, whatever. Bias for action, and they jump. So that's what I saw in them. Yeah.
Had you looked at other concepts before this, or you really tell me about? I want to get an idea of, was Roger trying to create a platform from the very beginning? Did you have this sort of foresight that here's how I'm going to build this company? It's going to be a platform, or was this a one-off? Like, I want to kind of get in your head.
Yeah. If I told you that I had plans for ThriveMore as a platform and we're going to do infrared sauna, I'd be lying. Like that's, and anybody tells you have a master plan, it all comes, as you know, nothing ever comes to plan the way, but other things happen and sometimes better things happen. But no, I wanted to go all in on this fitness concept, on RockBox Fitness. I am a huge fan of mixed martial arts, of combat sports, again, nutrition, fitness, and we were able to, and live music, I should say, and I'm a huge fan of live music and used to play music when I was in my 20s and 30s. And I wanted to bring that kind of that experience that you feel when you go to a live concert, like right when the lights go down, the crowd starts screaming, the fog's in the air and the stage lights come on, like there's butterflies you get, like everybody gets them, totally. You just feel it across. And when you leave a concert, I don't think anyone's ever said in the history of time, I wish I would have stayed in tonight. Like, you're always on a high when you leave live music. It's such a great communal experience. And I wanted to create that feeling that I get when I go to live music and music festivals in a fitness class, so that you get the butterflies when the lights all turn blue, the music goes up, this same kind of ritual thing happens, and then it's off to the races for 50 minutes. And it's like a rock and roll show on the hour every hour. And again, Steve had already created supply chain. He had created the workouts, the formats, all that. I didn't know any of that stuff, none of it. He'd already done some commercial real estate leasing. I'd never done that before. So my learning curve was a 90 degree angle, but the vision for what I wanted to build really came to fruition. Like, that's what exists today. And I certainly don't take, full credit for that, because there were a lot of people involved in bringing it to what it is today. But that was, it was kind of an all-in, burn your boats. There goes my salary. There goes my 401k. There goes my health insurance. Like, on a Friday I quit, and on a Monday I'm like, okay, this is a new world, man. This is a whole new world. But by, I've said this many times, like, Monday was scary as hell. Tuesday, okay. By Wednesday, I'm never looking back.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.